On a Midwest College Football Podcast. Joined as always by Clinton Boring. My name is Ryan Sadkoviak. It was a spooky, sleepwalking Saturday. Clinton, lots of what the fuck performances, lots of what the fuck results. Most of them outside of the Big Ten. I don't think we truly got a what the fuck result.
No.
How are you tonight?
I'm tired. Busy day. Started out, haircut, beard trim. Took Elliot to football camp for an hour. Went to the football game. My anterior tibialises have not been this sore. I should say tibialis anterior has not been this sore in a long time. I was speed walking over to the stadium and speed walked to get the hell out so that I could go home, and those mother truckers are sore. Enjoyed the game, though. I would say of all the football games I've ever been to in my life, there's never been a more perfect fall Saturday than what weather was today. It was fantastic. And a fun day of football. Like you said, a lot of the action outside of the Big Ten, everything kind of went a little more according, not per se just chalk, but more of what we expected this week. How are you, Ryan?
This YouTube TV thing better be done by like tomorrow because I'm not digging the Sling weekend pass. This isn't my jam.
I missed my quad box that is able to include some SEC, Big 12, ACC in it.
And it was just too like the weekend pass that I got, it was basically just like ESPN, ESPN2.
Oh, you didn't get ABC?
Did not. Well, the ABC games, it was on like ESPN3 or whatever, so I could at least watch that. But the fucking Miami game went to overtime because Mario Cristobal doesn't know how to do clock management. And that forced the Notre Dame game to start on ESPNU, which naturally I did not have on this. So I'm sitting there like watching my phone like it's fucking 2007 and the play-by-play's going by. And I'm like, what is going on here? But yeah, it was just...
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for the fans.
First world problems.
I get it. It's a little bit of YouTube. It's a little bit ESPN.
Oh, no, it is not you, Clinton. It is all ESPN. It is all ESPN is trying to fuck YouTube TV to get people to go to Fubo and Hulu, which they own, or buy their stupid ass bullshit app that doesn't even work half the time.
Well, here's the problem, though. I think YouTube's going to have to be the one to give in.
I know.
Or they're not going to give them back.
And guess who gets fucked?
We do, because our price is going to go up.
And me.
Yep. It's going to be over $90 a month now.
Here's the thing, people. None of these motherfuckers care about you, and you all keep voting for politicians who allow monopolies to happen. That's the only political thing I'm going to say. So fucking use your fucking brains.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
They just don't care watch about you.
Don't care about our money. Unfortunate, but yes, I am with you. I think YouTube TV is going to be, their hands going to be forced. They're going to have to come up with something this next week. Otherwise, they're not going to have any subscribers.
Well, and then you had like Greg Sankey like posting like Hulu screenshots today. Like, oh, this was super easy. Look what I did. I'm like, I'm sure you're going to be singing their fucking praises this week when the ratings come out and all the ratings are in the toilet because no one with YouTube TV could watch any of the SEC games.
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, well, what was you? What was us? It was still a fun, well, I don't want to say it was a fun weekend of football because I had heartburn during the 3:30 hour watching whatever the fuck that Notre Dame game was. But it was a good day of football. Some chaotic results outside of the Big Ten sphere that will have some playoff implications. That'll be interesting to see where some of these teams slot on Tuesday on the... I'm not watching the playoff show. I refuse to watch the playoff show, but I will happily look on Twitter after the rankings are announced.
We'll be live right after that. So
I'm still not turning it on in the background. I refuse to watch it. Well, it doesn't even fucking matter because I can't watch it on YouTube TV anyway. So
that's right, because we don't have ESPN. We'll just quickly review it on Tuesday night.
Oh, well, I guess I'm not watching the MAC this week either. That sucks.
Oh, no.
I ain't spending $5 for a fucking Sling TV day pass to watch Bowling Green get eviscerated by whoever else.
I technically have Fubo for 5 days, so I will get to see the Battle of the Bricks.
Yeah, well,
so I'm happy about that.
Good for you. But I think the one game that we had in our sphere that had big-time playoff implications was the nightcap tonight. And what a nightcap it was. It was USC 21, Nebraska 17. I did not have this one being a low-scoring slugfest on my bingo card, Clinton. This was a fantastic job, really by both defenses in the first half. but specifically the Nebraska defense, they had Jaden Maeva bottled up. They had this USC passing attack bottled up. There were some running lanes early in this game for King Miller, but for the most part, they did a really good job of containing him and limiting explosives. And that kind of fell by the wayside in a little bit in the second half. The chunk play started coming a little bit more easily for USC, and obviously the big story of this game was Dylan Raiola got rolled up on early in the third quarter, and that was kind of the turning point in this game, not just because he got hurt and did not come back in, but he also fumbled on the play, and USC didn't score in the immediate aftermath. I believe they missed a field goal on the next drive, but it was a TJ Lateef game at that point for the Nebraska offense, and he was okay. He had a short missed field goal drive that he led and then did lead a field goal drive, but not a whole lot else cooking in the second half offensively for Nebraska, and that's when USC about started to wake up in this game.
Yeah, they had their run game going. Maeva overall, not the greatest game, 9 for 23, and no touchdowns and 1 interception. It's heartbreaking for Nebraska and their fans. I love the all black that they were rolled out tonight. It looked pretty awesome on TV to see the black in the stands, but your star quarterback gets hurt. I mean, he himself was not great when he went out, 10 of 15 for only 91 yards and 1 touchdown. But when you lose your star quarterback in a game that clearly you needed him, total bummer for them. Emmett Johnson, fantastic. I mean, battle of the running backs tonight. King Miller and Emmett Johnson. Emmett Johnson, 29 carries, 165 yards, 1 touchdown. Nebraska seems to have found a run game. The problem is they haven't found how to stop a run game.
Well, Clinton, it was the same thing that we talked about on Tuesday. Their run game is Emmett Johnson. That's it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is fine if he's running for 162 yards, but if he's averaging 100 yards a game, you need a little more than that.
Yes, but they have to learn how to stop a run. So USC finishes with 202, 2 touchdowns, led by King Miller, 18 for 129, averaging 7.2 yards per carry. Mm-hmm. That's chunk runs, man. His longest run was 16.
Yep.
So it's not like he had an 80-yard run that bolstered that average. He was steadily taking chunks on them. Mm-hmm. You look across the receptions, though, for USC, pretty lackluster for Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon. Nebraska did fantastic, shutting them down. Lane with 2 for 22, Lemon 2 for 18. He did have 1 drop that might have popped him off just a little bit more. And then the Lake/Tate McRae 2 for 11. So Nebraska's defense was exactly what we said they were, where they ranked in our preview show, and that they were an elite pass defense. This was the best passing offense they had faced to this point, and they weren't a great run defense. And it played out exactly how the stats play out. Mm-hmm. 3 fumbles in this game for Lateef and 1 for Raiola. Luckily, they only lost 1 of those. And then, if you look at the defensive side, 1 sack, 5 TFLs for USC, 3 sacks, 4 TFLs for Nebraska. That was something we talked about, is Nebraska needed to keep Raiola / their quarterback clean in this game and slow down the USC pass rush, and they did a pretty good job with that, which kept them in this game. But I, as a fan and a neutral observer to this game, it's a total bummer you didn't get to see Raiola finish this game out and battle it out and see what could have came. But congratulations, Lincoln Riley. You won a game away from California. And sorry, Nebraska fans, you have to wait a little longer to beat a top 25 team.
Yeah, I think this is a game that's going to spring for sting if you're a Nebraska fan, because you probably feel like if your quarterback doesn't get hurt, you win this game.
Should Matt Rule be on the hot seat, Ryan? No, I'm just kidding.
Easy.
I'm kidding.
But it's so, I mean, again, you kind of touched on the big point. Raiola was fine in this game. It's not like he was lighting it up in the first half, but there's no doubt in my mind that Nebraska calls a different game offensively in the second half with TJ Lateef in there than they would have with Dylan Raiola. That limits your ability to make adjustments. You have to lean a little bit more on the run game. And 2, I mean, again, to Emmett Johnson's credit, he was fantastic in this game, even though USC probably had a pretty strong inkling that Nebraska was not going to try to beat them deep. They were still able to run the ball pretty successfully. But again, credit the USC defense, because they did play well overall in this game. 188 yards total on the ground for Nebraska, 4.7 yards per carry. That's a far cry from what USC defense did their last time out, defending the run. And I think, kind of given the overall implications of this game and what Nebraska has left on the schedule, I mean, if they end up beating UCLA, Penn State, Iowa, this is going to feel like a big-time what-if game for them, man, because
Yep.
your quarterback doesn't get hurt. You win this game, you finish 10-2. Maybe you're knocking on the door of the playoff, given what's kind of going on in the rest of college football with all these other teams losing. But I think we can definitively say the Nebraska playoff hope is over. That does not mean the season is over. They certainly have the capacity to win each of the remaining games on their schedule. I don't know if they'll necessarily be favored against Iowa to end the season, but I mean, 9-3 is still well within their reach. And if you take a step towards 9-3 this year, while it probably does feel a little disappointing given close losses to USC and close losses to Michigan, plus the whatever that was brain fart against Minnesota, I mean, that's kind of it's still a step forward. I mean, if you want to spin it in a positive way. And for USC, I mean, everything's still in front of you. You're 6-2, 4-1 now in the Big Ten. You've got Northwestern and Iowa coming up before the big date against Oregon, where, everything's going to be on the line for them in that game. So it will be fascinating to see if these two teams can keep it rolling moving forward the next couple weeks into November.
Potentially one more shot to play a ranked team, and maybe if it's Iowa, if Iowa knocks off Oregon this next weekend coming up.
True.
But overall, I mean, if you look at a team and they go 8-4 to finish the year, pretty damn good season. It's another continued year of improvement under Matt Rule. You've got him locked down, I believe, through 2032 now.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get a third year of Dylan Raiola next year, and he has made strides. I think the key is going to be his health coming into at UCLA and then at Penn State.
Yep.
Penn State, we'll get into this in a minute. They're not great, but they still have players who can make plays, and if you don't have your quarterback for that game on the road, that's going to be a huge challenge to be able to pull that out.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And he was moving up after the game. He was limping decently. So hopefully just a quick, low-grade ankle sprain, get him back ready to go.
I was thinking about this, Ryan. I know Oregon's off this week. Oregon's got 3 tough November games, man. Iowa, USC, and Washington.
Yep.
They better and then they have Minnesota as well, because we're going to be there for that, and it depends on which Minnesota team shows up. Something in the World Series.
The Dodgers just tied Game 7 in the top of the 9th with a solo home run.
Of course. They're going to pull it out. That's what the MLB wants. Easiest sport in the world to rig, baseball.
How?
How is it not? No.
This dude just hit a fucking monster.
I know. It's not rigged. It's just the fact that the Dodgers can have a $700 million payroll.
Yeah, this is what it
get whoever they want.
This must have been what it was like watching the Germans invade Poland.
Yeah. Not to mention, though, I believe the Blue Jays have one of the top highest payrolls in baseball too. So small market teams. This is why baseball is not interesting to anyone. Anyways, back to football. Congratulations, USC and Lincoln Riley. Got you a good win. Now let's go see what you can do against Oregon.
I'm not going to lie to you, man.
Next week?
Oregon? Who? For USC?
Yeah.
No, they got
Northwestern, Iowa, Oregon, UCLA. Okay.
Yeah. I'm about to be locked in for the bottom of this 9th inning. I'm not going to lie to you. This is the first baseball game I've probably turned on in 7 years, but the crowd pop on a walk-off hit in the World Series is electric.
At Iowa, Minnesota, USC at Washington for Oregon.
Yes. Ooh. That's tough.
That could feasibly, it's not going to happen, but could feasibly be 3 losses for the Ducks.
It won't happen.
It won't, but it could. There's a potential.
Let's break and let's go to the game that you were at. Ohio State 38, Penn State 14. I got a kick of you tweeting at halftime. All you people talking about your 20.5-point spread. I told you this was going to be a battle when you could have just listened to Ryan and you would have made money because Ohio State pulled away and won by 24 points.
And my reply back was, you could have listened to Clinton and bet Illinois by 2 touchdowns. And
yeah, I don't want to talk about that. We're not talking about this. Pretty tight game early in this one. Ohio State did a good job of getting Penn State off the field, and then it seemed like they were okay just being methodical on their touchdown drives. The first Penn State touchdown drive, they did a good job in the short passing game and using Nick Singleton in motion to kind of get him in space, which it seems like they have to do that to get him going now. I don't know if he's just not capable of running between the tackles or anymore or what's going on with him. But, talking about the Penn State defense coming into this game and how they still have guys and their potentiality to slow down the Ohio State offense. They just really didn't do that in this game. They got the forced fumble when Ohio State got the ball back in the 2-minute situation right before the half when Ohio State had a chance to really put the screws to them early. Kind of gave Penn State new life. They took advantage, credit to them. They made it 17-14 going into the half, even though the game was really not that close at all. Ohio State controlled much of the first half, and then 2 touchdown drives in the third quarter, sandwiched around a couple of Penn State punts, and this one was it for this one. Ohio State didn't punt until the fourth quarter. They got a put-away touchdown drive early in the fourth quarter on that just ridiculous circus catch from Jeremiah Smith. Caleb Downs had a pick towards the end of the game that was important, really, only if you bet on this game, which I did not bet on this game, but Ohio State's passing game is humming right now, man. Julian Sainz out there throwing dots. Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith are both going over 100 yards. Ohio State still can't really run the ball all that great, but maybe that's a problem for another day.
Over 100 yards for Bo Jackson today. I would say they had some runs. They had some explosive runs. It's the short yardage run game.
Well, didn't he have like a 53-yard run at one point, and that was kind of the gist of it?
I mean, he ran fine. James Peoples popped a couple runs in the fourth quarter. He didn't see any action, I don't think, until the fourth quarter. The other problem is Ohio State keeps rotating 4 running backs, and that's a problem for guys to get into a rhythm, is they're not getting out on the field consistently. But that's their play. That's, I think, what they're going to keep doing at this point to save wear and tear on them for the ending. But it is most certainly the short run game that they need to be able to figure out. Props to Penn State here. Ethan Grunkmeyer stood in the face of pressure. He was not perfect, but he made some really nice passes in this game to his receivers. He also had some pretty rough ones, but Ohio State generated pressure on him, and he stood in there. Yeah, you're right. Nicholas Singleton found something in this game. The biggest success Penn State had was just short and quick passes to negate Ohio State getting after them. Now, they did hit some down the field, but they were dinking and dunking down the field on Ohio State, running the clock. The time of possession was damn near equal. I think it was like 29-something to 30-something in favor of Ohio State, maybe by a minute. Katron Allen, big run early on their first drive. I'm not quite sure what Penn State was thinking on their first drive when they get to Ohio State side of territory or plus territory, and then it's 4th and 2 and they punt. Like, you're going to probably lose this game. Why would you not attempt to go for it? You didn't really do anything because they went and scored. So this is the first time, though, Ryan, since 2003 in a non-COVID season that Penn State has dropped 5 straight and started 0-5 in the Big Ten.
Oof.
That is tough.
That is bad.
Real quick, back to your right at the end of the half. That was an asinine play call for Brian Hartline or Ryan Day, whoever decided to run that play. They deserve to have that fumble. You needed to step on Penn State's throat at that point, and you did anything but. You got to stop being conservative. When Ohio State opens up to pass, Ryan, you've watched enough of their games to know there are not many defenses in this country that can stop them because of the weapons they have and how accurate Julian Sand is.
Have you seen, I'm sorry to interrupt you, have you seen the pants that the Oklahoma kicker is wearing?
No.
This dude is wearing short shorts.
Yeah, they don't wear knee pads anymore.
They are mid thigh. Hold on, I'm gonna send you this tweet, and I want you.
I have the game on.
Okay, well, hold on. I'm just sending you this tweet. I would like your reaction live on air.
I will check it out shortly. But as far as Penn State, they had a nice run early. Ohio State holds them to 55 yards rushing, Ryan, on 31 carries. That's 1.8 yards per carry. That's a real rough day on the ground for you. And I'm sure some of that includes sacked yardage to Grunkmeyer. Ohio State pitched a shutout in the second half. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall at the Ohio State halftime for how that first half ended and letting Penn State hang around. I will tell you, Ryan, we sat kind of amongst the Penn State fans, and I think some of them legitimately thought they had life when it happened at halftime. And I'm like, no. If Ohio State comes out here and throws the ball like they should, this game is going to be over in the blink of an eye, and it was. Sand put on the Super Saiyan cape, man. He completed 20 of 23 passes, and he joined Geno Smith as the only football subdivision player since 1985 to have 3 games in a season with at least 300 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and a completion rate of 85%. That is fantastic. Julian Sayin has 100% put himself in the Heisman race. It looks like now he is the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman. Fernando Mendoza, we'll get to him here. Not as big of a Heisman type day for him. Jeremiah Smith, my God. I didn't know what happened at first because we were in the end zone side for that when he caught that pass. I thought it got tipped, and I thought it got knocked to the ground, and all of a sudden I see him holding it in the end zone. I'm like, that motherfucker just one-handed that ball. Holy cow. That has got to be catch of the year. I don't know how you can top that. Overall, good win for Ohio State. What I wanted to see from this game was Penn State to give Ohio State stuff to work on, and they certainly did. They ran up-tempo. Michigan's not really a high up-tempo team. The next 3 games really aren't going to matter. It's a fine tune-up to get to Michigan with Purdue, UCLA, and Rutgers. But the way Penn State was able to try to pound the rock, they ran a lot of heavy sets today as well. I believe Landon Tingwall called it the student body formation on Twitter today because they were just bringing out an extra body, and Ohio State kind of struggled with that. One of the coolest parts, well, 2 of the coolest parts I enjoyed as a Buckeye fan during this was the Buckeye video board did some trolling in the 4th quarter. They panned to Jim Knowles, and then everybody booed him. And then they went to Matt Patricia, and everybody cheered him, and he did it like 4 times. It was pretty interesting. And then at Penn State, they'll do the whatever the song is, and they go, "We are Penn State." And so Ohio State trolled them, whoever controls the sound, and it said, "Fuck you, Penn State," is what they cheered through that. So very interesting. I having not been to an Ohio State Penn State game before, it was fun to see. It's always cool to see Penn State play in person. The fans were fine. They had a general expectation this game was not going to go their way, and it certainly did not. But we'll see what Penn State has left. If they can pull something out of the hat to get a win in the gosh, I way to stutter for the rest of the year. And the Buckeyes just have tune-ups until Michigan now, man.
All right, go look at this guy's pants.
I'm working on it. Tarsh, take us to our next game.
We had Illinois 35, Rutgers 13. Rutgers just cannot do the defense thing very well. They pulled up a stat in this game at some point, and I don't know where these people get their stats from, but it was like a comparison of the Rutgers pass offense being first in the Big Ten to Illinois' pass defense being last in the Big Ten. And we talked about this on Thursday.
Not only does he have shorts on, you can see his grape nuts in his shorts.
I'm telling you, he's got a mini skirt on. Boy's got some 4-inch inseams. No, the Rutgers pass defense is the worst in the Big Ten, and their overall defense is just worse in the Big Ten.
Good.
They kept it close early. They got an interception after Illinois' second drive, and they started in plus territory, but could only get a field goal. Illinois responded with 2 long touchdown drives before half to make it 21-6, and then got 2 more to start the third quarter. And that was pretty much it for this one. Just a fantastic game for Luke Altmaier in this one. He was 19 of 31 for 235 yards, 4 touchdowns, and that 1 interception through the air. Added 88 yards and a touchdown on 7 carries on the ground. Illinois as a team, 210 rushing yards. Big game for Hudson Clement in this one, stepping up as a secondary option out wide, 5 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown. Offensively, Nathan Kaliak-Manis for Rutgers was fine in this one, 253 yards, but 25 of 54 passing, only had the 1 touchdown. KJ Duff just is good. He's a good football player, 9 for 93 and a touchdown in this one. And good news for Rutgers is Ian Strong was back. He had 6 catches, 85 yards, but the bad news for Rutgers is none of those guys can play defense, and they continue to get carved up by quarterbacks who can run the ball. That's been pretty much the consistent theme with the Rutgers Scarlet Knights this year.
Yeah, I did not get to see a ton of this game, given that actually I didn't get to see any of this game since I was at the Ohio State game during it. Clement, Beatty, Dixon, Fegan all joined the touchdown parade. All got 1 touchdown reception each. And you mentioned a 210 for Illinois. That's 5.5 yards per carry. There was a measly 59 yards for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, 2.2 yards per carry. Pretty rough day on the ground. I feel like a generally pretty rough day overall on offense for Rutgers. As Ryan said during the Buckeye game, I'll say during this one, if y'all would have listened to me on Thursday, you would have taken Illinois. Double-digit win here. Pretty easy for them. The Rutgers wide receiver trio, though, strong game. They had 210 yards of their 253 yards passing, or I guess receiving. Ryan, Illinois became bowl eligible in back-to-back seasons for the first time since. Can you tell me the date?
2015 to 16.
2010, 2011.
Oh boy,
So it's been 15 long years.
That's
for the
crazy.
Fighting Illini. Saturday's game was also Illinois' fourth straight sellout. The Illini had not sold out 4 consecutive games since, Ryan, take another guess,
1999.
2008.
Wow, not that far off.
That would have been the year after they came off, I believe, the Rose Bowl.
Oh yeah, that was
So
the year after Juice Williams.
everybody was juiced, no pun intended. David Olano's streak of 12 straight made field goals unfortunately ends after 7 games. He missed a 45-yarder in the fourth quarter. And good news for Rutgers. There is one positive. They got their first sack in 3 games today. That award goes to Eric O'Neill. For a team who tried to revamp this defense via the portal,
Did not
really
work.
tried to beef up their pass rush, man. It has not went well for them, and that is why they only have 1 win in the Big Ten, and you could argue they could have none if the fluke at the end of the Purdue game didn't happen last week. Illinois trending for another 9-3 season here, back to back. They're a very solid team. Playoff chances likely out unless the ACC, somehow the SEC, and maybe the Big 12 bludgeon themselves a little further. Maybe Illinois could. They're going to argue a case regardless, just like South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Bama last year. But
They don't got to win. I mean,
It's
I guess
another-
they beat USC.
really good season for Illinois.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about with Sunny preseason. Like if this team goes 9-3, don't scoff at it. That's not a bad
Keep
season.
building on it. You're gonna have to utilize the portal next year. I don't know what they have, if it's anything special under Altmaier, but you got 3 successful years out of him. So
For sure.
see what you can find in the portal. It's pretty easy to find guys these days.
Clinton, the end of this game was fucking bananas. We had Minnesota 23, Michigan State 20 in overtime. There was officially a quarterback controversy in East Lansing. Aiden Childs was benched. I double-checked to make sure he was not hurt. He was benched in this game for Alessio Milivojevic, and it almost worked. He was actually pretty good in this one, 20 of 28 for 311 yards and a touchdown. But Michigan State still can't really run the ball. They did have 156 yards in this game, but 85 of those came on an Elijah Tolliver run that set up what I thought was going to be the game-winning touchdown with 1:52 left in the game that made it 17-10. Michigan State turned it on big time in the second half. They had 326 second-half yards, but after the go-ahead score, the final drive, the kickoff, they kicked it out of bounds to give Minnesota the ball at the 35, and then almost immediately had a face mask penalty to get Minnesota to midfield. In that overtime, there was a third down pass interference called on Minnesota that was picked up after deliberation between the officials, leading to a Michigan State field goal. And then when Minnesota got the ball, there was a third down pass interference call on Minnesota that was not picked up. It extended the drive, and in the bottom of the overtime period, Drake Lindsey on a naked bootleg snuck it in to give Minnesota the win. A lot of defense in this one, 11 combined punts. Michigan State missed a first quarter field goal. They had a turnover on downs at the Minnesota 37 early in the second. Minnesota missed a field goal to end the first half. And then late in the fourth quarter, right before their touchdown drive, actually, Michigan State did miss a field goal that would have put them up 13-10. Is Minnesota a pass-first team, man? They only had 23 rushes in this game. 17 were from Fame Ajaboy, who had 108 yards and a touchdown. But Drake Lindsey threw the ball 39 times in this one, completed 26 passes for 197 yards. Very strange to see Minnesota more pass than run. But I guess when your top 2 running backs are out, that kind of becomes a bit of a necessity.
Yeah, I think it's a big part, not having Darius Taylor. On my notes here, I had no Taylor, no problem. Each boy 108, 17 carries, 1 TD, as Ryan mentioned. Impressive, though, for Michigan State. They outrushed Minnesota 209-109. That's what the sack-adjusted stuff put in there. I think part of the problem if Minnesota wants to be a pass-first team is you don't really have elite options to go to. So when you travel to Eugene in 2 weeks, you better hope Darius Taylor's healthy to help control some of that clock. Not that Boy's not a good talent, but Darius Taylor, when he is on the field, is an elite talent and very good for Minnesota. The Spartans are off to an 0-6 start, Ryan, in the Big Ten for the first time since 2016. And that's when they lost their first 7, and they finished 1-9. Their
Brutal.
only conference win that year came against Rutgers,
Brutal.
49-0. If we look here again, one of the keys we mentioned was, and I feel like it's a weekly occurrence in keys for Michigan State, you got to protect your passer. Well, didn't work in this game. Minnesota had 6 first-half sacks. They finished with a total of 7 after just setting a program record 2 weeks ago against Nebraska with 9. Compare that to Michigan State's pass rush, and that was just a measly 1. So if we're looking at the last 2 teams we've talked about, and they are 1 win in the Big Ten and winless in the Big Ten, Michigan State and Rutgers, unable to get to the passer, might be a key thing you want to address. My last one for this one was just, you mentioned the quarterback controversy. Should Sparty just stick with Alessio moving forward? He seemed to give life to their offense. Aiden Childs is probably the higher ceiling, but is Jonathan Smith looking for anything at this point in time, Ryan, just to try and save his job? Or do you think he's already done?
I don't know if you can say the guy has the higher ceiling when we've seen him for a year and a half and he has not gotten better at all.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe it's a higher ceiling, but he's just not going to get there.
Yep. Or he's, I don't know, maybe if you give him an offensive line, maybe he could make some progress. But at this point, my question to you is Smith already done, or can he salvage this thing as far as his job?
I mean, I don't know if he can salvage this season. I think Michigan State's going to take a beat, though, and not enter the coaching carousel, given what's happened elsewhere.
Yes, I think unless he chooses to mutually leave, I think he's going to be back next year, very similar to a la Luke Fickell. It's such a crazy coaching carousel, especially the ones like we know Florida State's going to come open at some point at the end of the year. And, you know, you got a guy like James Franklin, who is rumored to be tied in negotiations with Virginia Tech, and then a halt on that because he wants to see if Auburn and Florida State come open. So it's tough life for Michigan State and Wisconsin, and I think you make that move only if you have a guy 100% lined up that you know is not going to be sought after by one of those other teams.
Yep.
So I don't really know what you do if you're Michigan State. You're going to get year 3 of Jonathan Smith, likely year 3 of Aiden Childs, year 3 of Nick Marsh. Got to figure this thing out and put something together. Hard loss for them. Good win for Minnesota. They keep it rolling. They're 6-0 on the season at home this year. So we'll see how they finish up the month of November. And as we eagerly await, I will be home at this time in 2 weeks, their Friday night game against Oregon and Eugene.
We had Indiana 55, Maryland 10. To quote myself from Thursday, if we have learned anything about Indiana the last 2 years, this is the type of game that they just come in and steamroll the other side.
But, Ryan, it was a sneaky start. Maryland starts off with a pick of Mendoza.
I think the crazy thing about this is I don't even think Maryland played that bad.
No,
and they still just got
shut
crushed.
down.
They just they get going and they just do not stop. It's like a boulder rolling downhill.
I believe Gary Danielson made the point on the game that Maryland, they're definitely, I think, the worst red zone team in the Big Ten, but I think he said they're the worst red zone team in America. That's pretty tough to do.
That's bad.
They can't score. So you start off your game with a great pick off Mendoza. You get down there and you got to settle for 3. You look like a team that doesn't know what they're doing. I guess I was listening to it at that point because, I was driving. Probably shouldn't be watching that. And then you get them on the next drive, and I believe you 3-and-out them, and you sack them on back-to-back plays. And then you did nothing with that.
Mm-hmm.
2 great drives to start on defense, and you got 3 points. When you're facing a team that can score at will, you have to find a way to get points. The big one here, though, I mean, the game was probably already over, but the Terps had a terrible third quarter. Before it was halfway over, Ryan, the Terps had fumbled on consecutive offensive plays. One of them was returned 32 yards for a touchdown by Devin Boykin, and the other set up a 16-yard TD run by Roman Hemby, making it 41-10, and that game obviously was all but over. I put in the tweet to lead into our show tonight saying IU ran over Maryland because that's exactly what they did. 367 yards on the ground to Maryland's 37. They outran them, Ryan, by 330 yards.
That's crazy.
That is absurd.
That's a lot.
This is another year that we were talking about a Mike Locksley team that doesn't have a ground game.
Yep.
They have to figure that out. Malik Washington cannot do this thing by himself when he doesn't have elite playmakers outside and he has no run game. Also 4 TDs to 0 TDs on the ground between the two teams. Biggest concern you take from this is Elijah Surratt left in the first quarter with a hamstring tightness, so his now nation-leading streak of 46 consecutive games with a catch is done. But most importantly, you need to monitor that moving forward, as Indiana will be expected to beat Penn State next week, but you do have to go to Penn State. I'm sure the fans will show up for that game. I don't know how beaten whatever will be of Penn State there, but they still have respectable players, so you're going to want your guys to be ready. And now
Clinton,
Indiana has beaten Michigan State, UCLA, and Maryland by a combined 120 points.
we're about to have an official review to determine if the World Series was won on a walk-off fielder's choice.
For the Blue Jays?
Yeah.
Good.
Like, the World Series might end on a video review on a bang-bang call.
Interesting. I don't know, man. I quit caring about baseball when the Guardians got knocked out. I hate the Dodgers so much. I would love nothing more for them.
Well, never mind. They're not
it.
reviewing it.
Nope. I have it on now. Your thoughts on this game?
I mean, it went exactly how I thought it would go. This Indiana just, I mean, it doesn't matter who they put in there. They just run the ball with brutal efficiency, and they can beat you in a multitude of different ways. Oh, shit!
They ran into each other and caught the ball. That's absurd.
Oh, my Lanta. Oh,
Absurd.
that's brutal.
That sucks for the Blue Jays. Good Lord. Oh, Truck sticks his own player and makes the catch. That would have been a hell of a way for it to end. No, man, I think
Warning track power.
Indiana is on a steadfast path to Indy, and those fans should be buying their tickets because there's no chance that they're not making it there.
100%. And it's just like, you hear the discourse online, the who have they played, and it's the dumbest thing in the world, because if you're beating the crap out of Power 4 teams, you're still good. Look at what happened throughout the sport today, who played poorly, who lost to unranked teams. And if you're coming out there and you are just smashing your competition, you are a sure thing out there. They've beaten the crap out of everyone they've played this year, save for Oregon, and they still handled that game easily.
But go back to 10 years ago and tell Ryan in 2015 that Indiana, first of all, would be ranked in the top 5 of the country, and then would walk into Eugene, Oregon, and beat the
Buddy,
Ducks,
the only
who were
team
ranked
that they
second.
haven't dominated this year was Old Dominion.
Yep, and they're a very respectable team. They have a winning record. So I know that's not a huge thing, but when the SEC decides to play cupcakes last week in November, Indiana gets a little reprieve there. You got to squash that narrative, man. Indiana has proven that they are a very good team. They're here to be for real this year. One can only hope that they get the matchup with Ohio State and Indy to see how these two teams square off against one another. That obviously relies on Ohio State getting past the boogeyman of Michigan at the end of November and not choking that away. But IU's for real, man. They're going to be fun. One would guess if Ohio State and Indiana are both undefeated and they square off in the Big Ten Championship, they're both getting a bye. They're both going to stay top 4.
I would think that would be true. Yes.
So would be intriguing. I would love to see a second round matchup of Indiana against Notre Dame. Of course, it would be neutral site. Indiana wouldn't get to return the favor of having a home game, but I think that one could be kind of spicy this year, Ryan. I think this Indiana team's a little different. We won't know until it would be played, but I guess you'll get a true understanding what Indiana is if they are to play Ohio State in Indy.
Well, we can just go ahead and transition to Notre Dame, because this game gave me heartburn. Notre Dame 25, Boston College 10. Clinton, this might be the first game in the history of college football where one team had 3 kickers miss kicks in the same game.
My note, Irish kicking themselves.
I just don't understand how you don't pull a fucking guy off the side. The best kicker in the NFL played soccer at Notre Dame. You don't mean to tell me that you don't have a motherfucker on the soccer midfielder or a center back who can't come in there and kick a goddamn extra point? I mean, there's 2 extra points in this game.
Yeah.
And a 35-yard field goal.
That doesn't give you much confidence heading into a playoff, Ryan.
Bro, Pat McAfee's pulling people out of the crowd at College Game Day who are making 35-yard field goals.
The kid from Vandy last week.
Ay, caramba. This was the quintessential, we spent the entire bye week preparing for the triple option and gave no fucks about game planning for Boston College game because they just came out flat and did not look like they cared. I mean, it doesn't help when your potential All-American running back is fumbling inside the 5-yard line for the third time this season.
Is that Price?
That was Price. Third time this season. This game should have been 24-7 at half, but it was not because they fumbled inside the 5 and then left literally 4 points on the board. 5 points on the board because they can't make kicks. And Boston College started the second half with a literal 21-play, 74-yard drive that took 11 minutes and 22 seconds off the clock. And they only got a field goal. And the only reason they got a field goal is because the ACAC officials threw a face mask penalty on a 4th down sack where there was clearly no face mask grabbed. They tried to say, I got another beef in this one too. Brock Osweiler needs to get the fuck off of doing color commentary for games. This dude played quarterback in the NFL, and there was one point in the game, the rules analyst had to explain what roughing the passer was to him.
Wait, the Brock Osweiler?
The Brock Osweiler, who swindled $72 million from Houston, is calling games on ESPN, and you would be shocked to hear that he's actually worse at that than he was playing in the NFL.
Is he worse than Robert Griffin?
Yes, unquestionably.
Worse than Colt McCoy?
Let's not get There was a play where it was like a full 3 seconds after CJ Carr threw a pass. The defender took 2 steps and just hit him square in the chest. And Brock Osweiler was like, oh, I don't know, man. That's just a real ticky-tack call there. And then the rules official goes on and he's like, no, I don't really agree with that. And Brock Osweiler literally said to this man, well, Kevin, doesn't it have to be like forcible contact? And the guy said back to him, he's like, Brock, he took 2 steps after the quarterback threw the ball. And Brock's like, oh, I got you. I'm like, you stupid bitch. How did you play the sport at a high level and you don't even know the rules protecting your own position?
Yeah.
It was a bad day for the ACC officials. Again, there was a play at one point where we got to stop calling intentional grounding on plays where quarterbacks and receivers just have a miscommunication, because there was one where it was like at the 4th quarter. The game was over by this point, but Grayson James was expecting his receiver to go long and he broke it short and he threw it long, and the refs sat there and were like, number 85 was in the area, it's not grounding. And then 30 seconds later threw a flag for grounding. Just incompetence of officiating in this game again.
From the All Costco Conference.
From the All Costco Conference. They need to just pack it in. Pack it up, pack it in.
I don't even think the refs need to pack it in. The entire damn conference needs to pack it in.
Shut up. Shut down shop. Get rid of the ACC. Bad.
So I have a
Relegate
fun quote here from Freeman postgame about the kickers. And he says,
yeah, they asked him what's the problem with the kicking.
He says the issues were every time we kicked the ball, it didn't go through the field goal post. So that's the issue. And we're going to keep putting guys in there until we consistently have somebody who can put the ball through the field goal post, he said. And we have 3 kickers. But if you have to rotate 3 kickers, you don't have one.
Send the flyers out. Tryouts on Monday.
Oh
it's embarrassing.
You should go try, Ryan. You got eligibility.
Hey, I don't have a leg.
Use that ankle.
Oh, no, that would not be good. Not good for the old foot. This was a game where Boston College pretty clearly decided that they were going to shut down. They did the exact opposite of what USC did 2 weekends ago. They decided they were going to send everyone to the box and stop the run game. I think there were multiple plays where there was not a defender lined up beyond 8 yards from the line of scrimmage. And eventually Mike Denbrock decided he was going to start calling plays to take advantage of that. CJ Carr had 299 yards on 18 completions, 2 touchdowns, long touchdowns to Malachi Fields and Will Pauling in this game. Jeremiah Love did end up with 136 yards on the ground, but 94 came on 1 rush. Not great efficiency running the ball for the Irish in this one, but the defense continues to take steps in the right direction despite allowing Boston College to go 21 plays on you. That wasn't great, but they had 5 sacks in this game, 12 tackles for a loss, and 3 interceptions. Good defensive game, but Boston College stinks. This is when you just burn the game tape and move on to the next one.
Which is Navy at night next week?
Navy at night, who got slapped around by North Texas today.
It was Penn State fans tweeting out today. How much do you think the North Texas quarterback costs for the portal next year?
The North Texas quarterback who literally never played quarterback in high school football.
Yeah.
Good for him.
I think they
Someone's
need
going to
to.
give him a ton of money.
Yeah, they need to settle and be just happy with, I think, Grunkmeyer, depending on the coaching staff. But yeah, it was an interesting game to be following with Notre Dame. I texted Ryan, guys, like, what the hell is Notre Dame doing? And his words were the same dumb shit Ohio State was doing in the first half.
That's pretty much it.
To be true. To be true.
Yeah.
Also, I just realized that was Tennessee's third loss and third
they are
conference loss. They are out of the playoff, folks.
Yeah, if you're an SEC hater, that was probably the best case scenario because I think the rest of Tennessee's schedule kind of stinks, and Oklahoma's probably going to lose again. So Oklahoma eliminates Tennessee, and Oklahoma's probably going to get eliminated next week because I think they play. Hold on, who do they play next week? Hold on.
Vandy's on the cusp of getting bounced as well.
Yeah, I don't know how they almost came back. I don't know how they almost came back in that game because they were down like 23 points at one point, and I just turned the game off. Yep. Yes, Oklahoma still has to play Alabama and Missouri and LSU. And
it's
Vandy
a Bo
still
Prabula
has
Missouri though, so
it's true. Vandy still has Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee.
Looks like
Tennessee could kick Auburn.
And side note, we don't cover the SEC, but Arch Manning actually had a really good day. All he needed was a concussion, and he had his best day of the season.
I will say that a lot of the yards that he got were short yardages that his receivers took long ways. I think the first play of the game he threw, it was like 2 yards behind the 2 yards behind. Yeah, 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and then he just ran through the whole defense. It was ridiculous.
Yep. Another game I didn't get to see, but it didn't look relatively close until obviously Vandy scored 21 in the fourth. But all right, we got one left.
Last game, Michigan 21, Purdue 16. This was just a weird game where it was close the entire time, but I don't really know that I ever felt like Michigan was in danger of losing, if that makes sense. No Justice Haynes in this one. He was in a boot on a scooter.
Apparently, the foot injury is real that we heard rumors about. We thought that was a joke. Somebody said that was a post that people put out there of the picture from when he was at Alabama. Clearly not. He is injured.
Yes.
And the rumor was it's a broken foot, so that might be
good.
the end of his regular season.
Which would not be good, but no issues for the Michigan run game in this one because Jordan Marshall was really good. He kicked off the scoring with his first of. He was the only person to score for Michigan in this one. He had all 3 touchdowns. He had a 54-yard scamper with 1:25 left in the first quarter. Purdue responds on the next drive, but that was really all they were able to consistently put together offensively for the next 2.5 quarters until they scored with 6 minutes left to make it 21-16. Credit to Michigan. They did well at killing the clock to end the game. 11 plays, 63 yards to take the last minute off. Marshall overall 25 carries, 185 yards, and the aforementioned 3 touchdowns. Bryce Underwood added 7 carries for 44 yards, but we talked Thursday. If Michigan can't throw the ball here, it's probably not happening this year, and they could not throw the ball again. Bryce Underwood, 13 of 22, 145 yards, and an interception in this one. Of note, Donovan McCulley left this game. I think it was in the first quarter he got rolled up on, and I do not believe he came back into the game.
And he did not reach his 2 for 20. He had 1 for 5.
Well, yeah, because he got hurt on that one.
I know. Man, I want to talk Purdue first. Was it Dan on the Solid Verbal mentioned Mississippi State might be the best winless conference team? Purdue might go for that stake.
They're not anymore. They won tonight.
They knocked off Arkansas. Well, Purdue, man, Purdue gets the try hard award. They try really hard every single week, and they're just not there yet. Purdue, in a year or two, if they stick with Odom and where they're at, they're going to start clipping some of these games because they're competitive. Now, again, they're not going to be competitive next week. They're going to get fucking railroaded by Ohio State, but Ryan Brown is a gamer. I like the use of Malachi Singleton in this game. You mentioned there was never a point that you really felt like Michigan was going to lose this game. There was one spot that I felt like Purdue had the window, and that's when Underwood fumbled the ball out of the end zone. And like, okay, Purdue, you got a break because Michigan was just steaming down the field to score. And your guy caused a good fumble. It goes out of the end zone. Here's your chance. And I believe it was on 3rd and 1 and then 4th and 1. They just took Singleton and ran straight up the gut. And he got stuffed both times. I'm like, you made it clear as day obvious what you were going to do when you put him in the game. And I know he has wheels, but could you come up with something a little more creative and just running straight up the gut. Call Ryan Day and ask how that worked out for him last year. Ryan, we need to have a real conversation about Bryce Underwood.
Mm-hmm.
He has a piss missile for an arm,
Yes.
but that's all he has is a 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
There is no
He did
off-speed
have
pitch.
one limp noodle one down the field tonight that he probably has a touchdown if he throws a piss missile. His legs are the best part of his game right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's no consistency in his pass game. I saw a tweet from one of the Michigan people and said, put Davis Warren in the game. I'm like, no fucking way are you asking for that? That's not possible, right?
No,
you don't want to see that.
No.
And here's the problem. And I think it was kind of similar to Raiola last year, was there was so much put on Bryce Underwood coming into this season. He's the $9 million man. Every Michigan fan in the world, other than the beat writers, said he was going to be essentially the next Trevor Lawrence right away. And he has been anything but.
Mm-hmm.
I still think he has an extremely bright future. He does.
Mm-hmm.
And we said that they needed to be aware of that was likely going to happen. It's a long 12-game season. Michigan is 7-2 and 5-1 in the Big Ten. They are pushing themselves towards a playoff. They are going to have to beat Ohio State at the end of the year to be able to make that. But Underwood has to be better. Ryan, they go to Wrigley Field next week. And Northwestern is not an elite team, but they play good defense, and they run the ball and control the clock. Michigan's going to play someone that's identical to themselves in play style. And their defense wasn't overly impressive tonight. Purdue got some nice little plays here and there. I don't know where to be on Underwood other than I think everyone who had such high expectations thinks he's to be some freshman All-American this year, and Dave Portnoy continuing to blow shit out his ass about how Underwood's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Like, you're taking a dose of medicine here and realizing life as a freshman quarterback in the Big Ten is hard. And one thing that people would argue with Josh Allen when he went to go into the pros was his accuracy problems. He had a cannon, he was mobile, he's big, but he was like a 55% completion in college. And people get concerned about accuracy because accuracy sometimes is hard to get better with. I don't know if it's a mechanics thing. Maybe he's just not an accurate guy. Maybe he just turns out to be a playmaker. I don't know.
Yeah, that's I think Broom tweeted that out. He's like, Bryce Underwood's lower body's been all over the place the last 2 weeks.
So, and freshman footwork in a game. Maybe he doesn't have the best offensive staff to be helping him right now. That's something to maybe keep an eye on. But I'm a little down on Bryce Underwood. I guess I expected not what Michigan fans did, but I expected a little more from him. What are your thoughts?
I gave you my thoughts. I think he's just fine. He'll grow into it probably, but it's going to require some coaching, whether it's, in season with the staff, probably more likely off season when he's working with his trainer and then working in spring ball. But they need receivers too. Like, that doesn't help.
No.
And it's just like kind of exacerbates itself. The guys aren't getting open, so he probably feels like he has to do more than he actually needs to do. He's probably gripping it tight, trying to throw it as hard as he can. I don't know. I'm not in his head. It's not my place to psychoanalyze him, but it's just a lot to ask of a true freshman quarterback who turned 18 not too long ago. And I mean, ultimately, they're still 7-2. It's not like they're
hasn't
awful.
cost them yet per se. So it'll be interesting to see as moving forward. Northwestern and Wrigley will be a challenge. Maryland will still be a challenge. And then, of course, it's Ohio State. You got to find a way to beat them for a fifth straight year, and you're going to be in the playoff. If USC and Oregon drop another game and Michigan wins that game, Michigan will be going to Indy to play against Indiana. So that would be interesting if that happens. So great win for the Wolverines. You found a way to do it. Let's see what you got for your last 3 games of the year. And for Purdue, God bless you. You're not winning another game the rest of the season. So just keep playing hard, Boilermakers.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that's us for tonight. That was week 10. We'll be back with you guys we're Tuesday this week, right?
Shit, we are Tuesday. That's going to be hard to do our Maction picks. How many Maction games are Tuesday? Just one?
Oh, fuck, I don't know.
Can you pull that up real quick?
Yeah, I can.
I'm taking OU to beat Miami. It doesn't matter, so I'm picking the Bobcats.
I don't even think a spread's going to be out yet, man. Oh,
I don't need
why
a
did you
spread.
fucking change that? Tuesday we have UMass at Akron, Miami at Ohio.
UMass Akron. Akron wins and OU wins. I don't care what the spread is.
Yeah,
Because OU Miami's not going to be that big. And I'm taking Akron unless they give UMass like 30 points.
I don't think they'll give them that many points, but
No.
3-6 on the year for the Zips. Good for them. So yeah, we'll be with you guys on Wednesday night as those, or Jesus Christ, Tuesday night as those games are ending, like 8:45-ish. Could be fun. Will probably be fun. Thanks for joining us. That was week 10. Have a great week. Have a great Sunday. See y'all on Tuesday.
See you.